fact, any African man with money or power, the older they are, the moment they have one leg in the afterlife, they start racking in, young wives and kids. And I believe inherently that this is an egoistic pursuit. Hey, welcome to the Lolo Cynthia Show. I am so excited. I've been wanting to do this show since I was 16 years old. So I'm taking a leap of faith and I'm starting this journey, and I hope that you go on this journey with me. Without further ado, we have lots of stories to talk about today, from South Africa to Uganda to Kenya and even what's happening in the US. So in South Africa, I'm so happy with what's happening. Okay, so in South Africa, there is the Miss South African competition. I'm sure you guys all know that. It's one of their, very prestigious competition. The top 12, her name is Lavengers, I believe. She was a top 12 finalist. When she was announced that she was a top 12 finalist, all the people that she bullied when she was in high school started talking about it. They came online talking about they cannot believe this woman was even, selected to be on the top 12, detailing all the things she did to her and her clique, which is what drove me mad because I hate cliques. Anyway, so they talk about, what she did to them when they were in high school. And now, in Twitter fashion, now everybody is fighting for and against her. People are talking about how she has changed, that if I was a bully in high school, does that mean that if I get an opportunity now, I should be cancelled? Other people are talking about how, look, if you bully somebody, you don't know how bad the consequences are. Like, you have moved on with your life, but I'm still here trying to grasp, the abuse of what you did to me, and I cannot function in daily life. So you know how Twitter is. People are just fighting. People are fighting. Talking to my team about how I feel about the story, it's like the gods heard my prayers, because just yesterday or 2 days ago, they released the press statement. This is the lady in question, Lavengers. She released the press statement dropping out of the competition, talking about how, she too was a victim of bullying, and this was her way to protect herself. And the first thing I'm thinking to myself is, so you were a victim of bullying and the way to protect yourself is to bully another person? Anyway, there's a different story. But then, the press release comes out, and then Miss South Africa organization, they're talking about how they support her decision, and they are zero tolerance towards abuse. I listened to everyone's comment. I watched the news, and my conclusion is that one, she didn't drop out. I believe Miss South Africa evicted her. But you know how PR is and crisis communication, everybody wants to, hide face. This was the best approach for her. Secondly, I hate bullies. I hate cliques. I hate cliques that bully people. And I already told my team, like, look, if these accusations are proven correct, she should be dropped from the competition. We live in a society where people believe that actions have no consequences, especially where we have mean girls and mean boys who just go through life abusing people and believe that the world will reward them because of who they are, because of their, in quote, aggressive. I do not like that. And I also believe that a big competition like this, Miss South Africa, who wants the world to know that the person we crown as Miss South Africa or someone that goes into top 5 is a well-known bully? It doesn't represent you. It doesn't represent your country well. So I am really glad with how everything unfolded. And I'm really happy for the victims, really, of her, of her bullying, because I'm sure that when they see that happening, it would give them some form of solace, some form of, they would be able to breathe. Like, it's good to know that the person who violated or abused you or bullied you actually dealt with the consequences of their actions. And truthfully, actions have consequences, especially in the 21st century that we live in. If you apply for a job and you're given the job offer, and they search you online, and then your name is associated with some tribalistic or racist comment, you're going to get dropped off. So in the 21st century that we live in, I hope that this lady's story is seen as a cautionary tale for all the mean girls and mean boys, whether in high school, secondary school, university, or even in our daily lives, for them to recognize that actions have consequences and there is karma. Like me, I'm not like so crazy about karma, but the thing is happening. So this story brings, joy to my heart, but I want to hear what you think. Do you think I'm being too harsh? Do you think that people really change? Do you think that, we're just hating on her? Because some people have said that it's when she's climbing her way to success that people start remembering that you did this crazy thing to them. Like if she was just a nobody, nobody would care. Do you think that that's really the case, or are we just being really, really hard? We'll be back. So in Uganda, something is happening that is making my body very happy. We got reports that says that there's an increase in DNA tests. So these men are trying to see if these children belong to them or not. Usually it used to be like 3 tests a month, but now it's like 100 tests a month, like 100. That's like over 70% increase. These men are actually doing this test so that they can check if these children belong to them because they don't want to take care of this kid. They're trying to abandon their fatherly responsibilities. And because God hears our prayers, most of these tests are actually negative. So good for the men. But I have very strong opinions on this topic. First of all, I want to talk about the fact that, anyone that deceives someone into, accepting a child that isn't theirs, I think it's immoral. I think it's unfair, and I think it's a betrayal of one's trust. I can imagine the hurt that the person who finally recognizes that, who finally finds out that this child is not his, would feel. It's very painful. That's the human side in me. I'm not a witch, so of course I have to empathize. But there's the other side. I'm very happy for these men. You know why? Because I am certain that more than half of these men are probably impotent. Yes, their seeds don't germinate, they are infertile. In Africa, the problem when it comes to like childlessness, infertility, most times the burden is placed on the women. You go to a church, husband and wife are sitting together. The husband say, if you are looking for a child, come to the front. Only the wife will go to the front. The husband will sit down like this. Why? Because we believe that it's something that a woman should be responsible for. And this is why we have a lot of women that keep on stepping out to find solutions. They have gone for tests. They have found out that there's nothing wrong with the woman, but that man will not do tests. Or worse, because we know how men are. Men are very cunning. The men will go and do tests on their own to make sure there's nothing wrong with them. So when they come back home, they can show that they are the head of the house. And most times, some of these men will find out that there is something wrong with their seeds, that there is something wrong with their fertility, that they are impotent. But they would never speak up because it's a bruise on their ego and masculinity. And it's very unfair for the woman because she'll be running health scatter, church to church, traditional ritualist. So she has taken herb, she has done this just to make sure that she gets pregnant. And maybe one of the solutions and one of the ways that she look for ways to get pregnancy is to look for someone else's seed out there. And sometimes it works in her favor. She goes out, she sleeps with somebody, she finally recognizes that, you know what, there's nothing wrong with me, but he's still my husband. And then she brings the child home to actually help hide the shame of the husband. Now that I think about it, let's think about it. In a twisted turn of events, these men actually meant to be thanking these women. They're actually meant to be telling the women, thank you so much for doing this thing on our behalf, because you know that I would never admit it. It is very unfair that in Africa, we believe that women should be responsible for the issue of childlessness or fertility. And I hope that this serves as a cautionary tale for these men. Because if you refuse to acknowledge that there's a problem with you, women will continue to seek out solutions outside because it's for their own survival. If you don't have a child, probably the mother-in-law is here every day. Where am I going to get my grandchild from? This woman has to find a solution. And if men do not step up, if men do not accept that sometimes they themselves are the problem, women will continue to deceive these men into fathering kids that are not theirs. So this is my own 2 cents on this topic, but I want to hear what your opinion is. Is it unfair what I'm saying? Is it completely just a betrayal of one's trust for a woman to even go out and look for seed to germinate so that she can bring this pregnancy home? How often have you heard this kind of stories in your community? First, as a Nigerian, it's even a running joke, like it's in all our movies. Patience Zoku is telling her child that, you know what, go outside and bring it in, that a lot of women are doing it. And I'm quite certain that, yes, a number of women do this thing. So what I want to hear though, I want to hear from you in the comment section below. What do you think about this topic? Do you think that a lot of women, because of the 21st century right now, women are just completely deceiving men so they can have access to child support? Because that's an argument that people do make. I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. Drop it. I can't wait to read it. We'll be right back. In another country in East Africa, it's like East Africa nowadays, a lot of gist, a lot of things are happening in East Africa. Right now in Kenya, they are having the classic case of man versus machine. Take a look and we'll talk right after.
For close to 4 hours on Monday, police engaged locals at Brook Trading Center in running battles as they engaged in vandalism and blocked the Kericho-Nakuru highway. The mob was protesting against the mechanization of tea harvesting, which they say has led to massive layoffs of locals who depended on contractual jobs at the tea estates.
Before the introduction of machines, Bomet alone, we used to have over 50,000 employees. Over 50,000. But as we are talking now, I can tell you the number is around 5,000 to 7,000.
Multinational companies in the tea belt have argued in court that the harvesting machines will help cut production costs by more than half, making their product more competitive in the world market.
I feel really bad when I watch this story. I completely understand that in the world that we live in right now, see, what people call unskilled labor. I hate that term because there's nothing like that. But what society usually terms as unskilled labor, like people that do manual jobs, plugging trees and things like that, is slowly going extinct. AI is coming, robots are coming very soon in everyone's homes. Before we used to, wash the clothes with our hands, but right now we have washing machines. Slowly, 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 technology will definitely come. Development is important. I feel really bad, and I have to say this because it means that there is a high level of unemployment. I'm thinking about the families that have lost their source of livelihood. I am hurting on their behalf, but I don't see how burning machines, burning the tractors or the tea pickers that were brought in to replace you is the solution for that. It is another way, like I say, it's just people are just trying to transfer anger and aggression. The government, we need our African government to step in and create enabling environment so that people can reskill and upskill. This world that we're living in the 21st century, and as we continue to enter the 22nd very soon, people are looking for people with other forms of skill sets. No one now is looking for, oh, what can you do? My hands, I can use my hands. Nobody cares about this. I can use my hands. What do you have here now? Soft skills, communication, leadership, etc., etc. You have to be able to recognize that the world is evolving and you need to evolve with the world as well. It's quite sad that even in our educational systems, when they even teach things around agriculture, people are still talking about manual labor while the world has gone to another place. So, right now, no matter how much you fight against development or mechanization, capitalism will always win. These owners, the multinational companies, by the way, most of these multinational companies are owned by, now, the West, British tea companies. Those people in London, they like UK, they like drinking tea. So most of them have set up shop here. So there's another element of that as well. These multinational companies are capitalist in nature. They are going to get machineries that will pick more leaves for less at a lesser time and will save them money, because now if I have to employ 5,000 people and I can get a machine and I only have to employ 10 people, I have saved more money and I have made more teas. So it is sad that we live in a capitalist society, but it is what it is. And now that I've said this, I just remembered something in my mind, because I'm a feminist and I'm pro women. I started thinking about the BBC documentary under their documentary arm. It's called BBC I, that just released I think a few months ago, about how the few women there that are even pushing, trying to get their source of livelihood for their family, that work in those tea farms. Most of them have been subjected to like sexual abuse, sexual harassment before they could get that jobs. Now I'm thinking about when they lose these jobs, because truthfully, when they start replacing these the farmers with machineries, we know that when you look at like factories and the rest, most times these machineries are actually done by men. They are going to replace these women with fewer men who will be handling these machineries. And I'm wondering, what are these women going to do? How are they going to take care of their daughters, their sons, their community? Because when you give a woman money, she's going to use that money for her family and for her community. Most times when you give a man money, well, we know where that ends up. In the tavern, people are drinking their salary down. So this is not because I'm a feminist, which I am, but it's not because of that. It is the fact that when you empower a woman, you empower a community. So I really hope that the government, and this is not just about Kenya, truthfully, this is happening worldwide. Chat GPT came and everybody's that Chat GPT is going to take everyone's job. People, things are happening. Technology have evolved in a rate that I'm sure 20, 25 years ago, we did not even imagine it would get to that level. So we need to ensure that we are reskilling and upskilling. And it's not just to the people who are in quote unskilled labor, even myself. Like, what did I know 10 years ago? So the world has moved, and I have to make sure that I know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And also, parents that watch this video, I really hope that we're not still forcing our kids, oh, you must study medicine, oh, you must do this, you must do this. No, the world has completely changed. Right now, a social media influencer is probably richer than her parents who have been working for the past 50 years of her life. So we're seeing a lot of development, a lot of improvement, and if you don't evolve, you're going to be left behind. So this is really my opinion regarding this man versus machine thing. I know I speak from a place of privilege. I have to be quite honest. I know because I tell people to reskill and upskill and use these fancy words, but it's not like when they reskill, the job is dead for them to get it tomorrow. They're dealing with the consequences of this replacement, of this automation and mechanization in real time. So I empathize with that, but I recognize that the reality is what it is. Capitalism does win at the end. But again, I always love to hear your comments. I want to see what you have to say about this topic. Do you think that, protesting and burning these machines are the best way to show to the government, like, look, we cannot be replaced? And if you were in their shoes, what would you do? I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. We'll be back. To the last story for today. Guys, this story came out like a few weeks ago, and I was like, no matter how long it takes, I must talk about it. So now we have the legendary actor, Robert De Niro, who is 79 years old. He just welcomed his seventh daughter with his girlfriend of 45 years. And then his close friend, Al Pacino, who is 83 years old, just welcomed a new baby as well with his girlfriend of, wait, guess how old? 29 years old. When the story came out, my first visceral reaction was disgust. Forgive me, O Lord. I know children are a gift from God, but this one is too much. I don't like the idea that we have elderly men of this age having kids. So I have multiple opinions on this topic, and this is my first opinion. I do not see how men of those ages have the physical, mental, or emotional energy to deal with a child. When we're talking about like caregiving, it has switched now because normally your parent is meant to care for you as the child. But what's going to happen in this situation is that that child will end up caring for the elderly parent. It is unfair. It is a burden that a child should not bear. And truthfully, I don't even know why I'm going all the way to the West. As an African, we see this every day. Look at our African leaders, our traditional leaders, or in fact, any African man with money or power. The older they are, the moment they have one leg in the afterlife, they start racking in, young wives and kids. And I believe inherently that this is an egoistic pursuit. This is what I believe. These two men, this Al Pacino and this De Niro, they're probably having a drink and be like, dude, as old as you are, do you think your seed is still working? Let me see. Then they're doing a sperm off competition to see which one sperm or semen can still germinate. This is really what's happening, whether abroad or here in Africa, where old men are just having kids for selfish reasons, and we should shun it. It is shameful, it is annoying, and it's utterly disgusting. So that's my first opinion about this issue. Now, there's a second opinion that is somehow hypocritical. I'm not going to lie. That's the truth. And you guys know I'm pro-women. I love women. I am a strong, strong feminist. And I'm looking at it from a place of survival. I've started seeing things about how these women have cashed out. Like they made sure that before the man, before the man kicked the bucket, they made sure that they secured their own inheritance. And if I'm looking at it from a place of security, from a place of survival, to be quite honest, it does make sense. Because I believe that the choice to have a child and the person to have this child with, most especially, is a very strategic decision. A woman choosing to have a child with these kind of men who have power, who have influence, who have money, even if they're about to kick the bucket in a few years, this is not a curse or an insult. It is what it is because they are the age where right now they are aware of their mortality. has secured herself, has made sure that she has financial security, even if this man goes away. So when you look at it from that perspective, not even just these, two men that we're talking about, here in Africa, you see these young, beautiful women getting married to this man that's probably cannot even bath himself. It's not because of love. It's because they are trying to make sure that they have financial security in a world where they've told them that they need to survive to do that. Do I like the idea? Do I love the idea rather? No, I don't love it. But I like it because I like when women hustle and women use the patriarchy for their own benefit. So that's really the second opinion that I have, because these women that, we're talking about 29, 45, even if they leave this man right now, they can meet another person and have their own family, but they are guaranteed that they still have money coming in from somewhere. So there's definitely that aspect. And finally, my third point is, what if these people are actually in love? I know it's far-fetched, but like it's not impossible that these two people are in love with each other, especially the lady who's 45 years old. They might just be sitting down, and again, like I said, he's aware of his mortality, she's aware of his mortality. They sit down and they talk about, how can we make sure that we remember this union, this connection that we felt. And truthfully, having a child is how they do this. Not just with this couple, worldwide. Two people are in love. They want to make sure that their union is solidified, that they have evidence of that love. They decide to have children. Is it selfish? I mean, it is selfish. Having a child inherently is a selfish desire. There's nothing wrong with that. So I believe that that might be an option. It's not impossible. It might be far-fetched, but I don't think it's impossible. So those are my three opinions about it. Truthfully, I think it's disgusting, because there are also health implications with elderly man seed. Like the seed of an elderly man is not swimming the way it's meant to swim. Because there are some health implications with that. And we live in a society where people are always talking about women's biological clock. As a woman, by the time you're 45, you cannot give birth, or your eggs they've been fried. So you need someone to do something to it when you're in your 20s. No one talks about old men and how also their seeds and their sperm start to get fried at a certain age. Even when you look online, people are exalting this man, talking about how he's still showing that he's a real man. So we have a problem in our society where we let men go scot-free. We let them do whatever they want to do, because we know for a fact that they are not the ones who are the primary caregivers. They just have to sow their seeds around. And I met one man, now I'm in Kenya, I'm here for a few months, and I hate to say this, I'm putting this man on the blast. I asked this man, I'm like, so how many kids do you have? You know what he told me? We don't count our kids. The moment he told me we don't count our kids, I knew this man is a serial baby daddy. He has kids everywhere. Instead of him saying, I have 7 kids or 8 kids, he just say, we don't count our kids. Because he does not even know if there's one woman somewhere in Afghanistan or Jakinchan that he impregnated, that he has left, that he wanted to show that his seed is working. And nobody would hold men accountable for doing this. I might be harsh, yes, because I recognize what it takes to raise a child. But I want to hear what you have to say. I do. I always want to hear what you have to say, because this is just one woman talking here. But I want to hear what you have to say. Do you think elderly men should have kids? And do you think it's also a thing of survival? Are these women actually sharp for doing what they're doing? Because if you're in their shoes, you would do the same as well. I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. So we have come to the end of this first episode. I am so excited about the stories that we shared today, but more excited about this journey that we're about to take. And I cannot wait for you guys to join me on this journey. We're going to be on billboards very, very soon. You heard it here first. So when I'm on that billboard, you'll be like, when did she start from? We started from here. Thank you so much for watching this first episode. If you have stories that you want me to talk about, just tag me LOLO_CY on all social media platforms. And you never know, maybe the story that you're really interested in is the one I'll talk about on my show. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.